What if the biggest YouTuber in the world died? Well, it wasn't too far off happening countless times, with the one happening most recently being incredibly close. The first time MrBeast has mentioned almost dying was back in September 9th, 2021, where he'd go on to mention the time where his friend would practically die behind the wheel, falling asleep after saying, "Can we pull over? I don't feel too good," with MrBeast or Jimmy Donaldson turning to his friend, seeing him completely unconscious at the wheel. His friend Tyler in the back seat apparently also punched him in the back of the head, with Jimmy yelling to wake him up. They were on the highway with incredibly little control of the car, trying to wake the unnamed friend. They didn't want to name him because Jimmy didn't want to embarrass him. And to make things even worse, the unnamed friend had his foot stuck on the accelerator, which meant for the next 6 seconds, Jimmy and Tyler were accelerating uncontrollably on the highway, getting to speeds of nearly over 100 miles per hour, with incredibly crowded traffic, with Jimmy even mentioning that there were people getting angry with them. There was one plausible solution, and that was to go under the wheel, move his friend's foot, and stop the car. But with this, there was one main problem. Jimmy describes the car as being big and that the dashboard was in the way of him ducking down. So this would mean he'd have to lose sight of the road, which is incredibly dangerous, even more when you realise the speed they were going at. However, in a shocking gamble, Jimmy ducked under, quickly moved his leg, and when he came back up, they were still on the road, saving him and his friends from almost certain death. But although this happened as an outside event with no footage or evidence, the next would be in the video from 2018, where he'd attempt to spend 24 hours underwater. His lack of funding at the time due to his lower subscriber count led to his setup looking sketchy and dodgy, and just in general, looking like something you would not want to trust your life with. He had a plastic bucket which was constantly filled with oxygen to create an air bubble underwater. However, something strange happened when under the water he began to feel nauseous and had to get his friends to get him a new oxygen tank, which eventually solved the issue. However, this was almost ironic foreshadowing for what happened that following night, where Jimmy would feel sick and inebriated. This got so bad that he thought that if he kept on going, he would have passed out, which would have almost led to certain death. With all of this, Jimmy resigned from the challenge and the challenge was forfeited. But sadly, the next near-death experience wasn't something he could just forfeit from. And this all started back in 2013, when a 15-year-old Jimmy was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which made him hate his life. Crohn's disease is basically, from Jimmy's words, where all the food you eat goes through you really quickly, which causes you to lose absurd amounts of weight in extremely short periods of time, and just causes pain through your everyday life. And because of this, he said playing baseball, which he used to play as his main sport, was pure torture. This led to the shocking weight loss from 180 pounds to 139 pounds, and for a man who was 6'2", he was, in his own words, a weak, frail twig. However, juxtaposing this, years later, Jimmy woke up and realised he was actually obese, being on the complete other side of the spectrum. But this story has a happy ending, with Jimmy on the 29th of June tweeting,
"Woke up and I realised I was obese, so I started lifting and walking 12,500 steps a day. Still got a long way to go. I'm happy with my progress so far."
But this next one isn't MrBeast. Rather, one of his close friends, Carl, which you may know from the MrBeast team. Carl was a member of MrBeast who joined in the more recent years, replacing the previous prominent members like Jake the Viking and Marcus, gaining a lot of hate for this, and for his high-energy personality coming off as annoying to fans. This sparked a trend on YouTube of people commenting Carl ruined MrBeast, and even now later going on to say that he's the reason for Chris Tyson changing genders, calling this the Carl effect. This just got so bad to the point where Carl would stop eating and starve himself, and the bullying did not stop there. With the recent release of MrBeast Burger at the time, people specifically hated on his food item, causing him even more stress. However, what Jimmy would do for him would be completely in character, getting him to eat food for a promotional video as an act of kindness. And now, Carl seems to be dealing with the hate a lot better. Sadly, I'm not sure Jimmy will be feeling good after he was almost shipped off to get obliterated at the bottom of the ocean. On June 22nd, 2023, the OceanGate submarine with 5 billionaires on board went missing. It was on track to see the Titanic underwater, however, many were skeptical with the submarine's design. The CEO of OceanGate raised concern after doing bizarre things to the sub, like making its controller a game controller, saying he didn't care about safety regulations, and cheaping out on materials. Also mentioning death multiple multiple times on the first page of the waiver, and on the 24th of June they had found out that the Ocean Gate submarine got absolutely obliterated at the bottom of the ocean due to the high pressure, and that sadly all 5 billionaires died on the submarine. And apparently MrBeast was actually invited to go on that very trip, tweeting,
"I was invited earlier this month to ride the Titanic submarine. I said no, kind of scary that I could have been on it."
This is scary, but the main thing is that he did avoid it and somehow escaped that seemingly friendly opportunity, which would lead to a horrible, painful death. But just for those of you who are wondering, what would happen if MrBeast were to die? Well, he has mentioned multiple times that when he dies, he wants his friends to do a last take-off hand grave challenge to decide who the channel goes to. And no matter how morbid it is, it would kind of be a nice send-off, seeing as he said before, he wants to make the world a better place before he dies. MrBeast's growth on YouTube has been one that basically everyone has gotten to watch. From watching him play Minecraft for some people, to remembering those old videos with the OG crew. His content can sort of be for all ages in a way. It's like the more modern take on a game show. But even he says he doesn't want to ever film in 4K, even though he has the chance to, because he doesn't want to make it look too professional. And there's a level of respect to that. He doesn't want to turn his channel, the one we've loved since support editing, into solely a business, because then it just wouldn't be as good. It wouldn't have that MrBeast charm. No matter how many times the team changes, or the video editing changes, there will always sort of be that MrBeast charm, which you can get from all the other ones before as well. 2015, 2013, 2017, 2023, they all just have that feeling, and it just can't be captured by phonies. This is why he truly is the best and biggest YouTuber on the platform. He can't be beaten by previous biggest creators like PewDiePie, because they just simply aren't as innovative. It's harder to like one person than it is to like multiple people. And even if you don't like any people on MrBeast, you can still take the content for what it is and get something from it. But in the end, I think it's safe to say, if he survived this much, then I'll probably be around making videos for a lot longer as well. Thanks for watching.